All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today we have some good news and we have some bad news. And I don't have a coin to flip to decide who goes first, so I'll just go with the bad news because everyone loves bad news. So Shavkat Rakhmonov, very frustrating situation he's in right now. And this is the quote. "The situation is difficult. I'm waiting to see who will fight for the title. Perhaps we'll go straight to the title fight even next year. I'm waiting. I don't want to waste my energy on intermediate fights." I hate this mentality, man. I hate this entitlement. And that's the thing. I don't know if the UFC is promising all these different guys like title shot. Yeah, you step into your title shot, title shot, title shot. I don't know who he's talking to, but it reminds me of the Gaethje situation. And granted, this isn't as bad as the Justin Gaethje situation because Justin Gaethje, "Yeah, I want my 17th title shot because I'm not feeling the love." Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just beyond ridiculous. But this one here, it's still extremely frustrating because the fact that Shavkat Rakhmonov wants to sit out and wait, the last time he fought was December 7th, 2024 against Ian Gary. Then before that, he fought December 16th, 2023 against Stephen Thompson. So that's the thing. This guy isn't that active to begin with. And then wanting to sit out and wait till they fight. So let's say Islam and Jack fight. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they fight in November, right? Chances are it's going to be a back and forth war, so they're not going to be wanting to return in the early year, right? And you look, I'm pretty sure Makhachev has a holiday there. So people are saying that if Makhachev wins, he's going to be able to return probably around May of next year, right? So it will be literally a year and almost a half since Shavkat Rakhmonov's fought. Plus, he's coming off an injury. And that's the thing. Ring rust is very real. For example, you look at Jack Della Maddalena versus Bilal. Della Maddalena did amazing. Don't get me wrong. However, it clearly showed that he had the year off, right? Because you can tell by his timing, you can tell by his shot selection. I think if he was active going into that title fight, I think he would have knocked out Bilal. I think he would have got him out there. I don't know what round, but I think he would have finished it for sure. And that's the thing. When fighters take all this time off, especially coming off injuries, it's just, it's terrible for the momentum. And not only that, the fans have goldfish memories. So a lot of people don't even remember Shavkat's last fight because it was against Ian Gary. It wasn't the greatest fight. And that's the thing. If your claim to fame is beating Ian Gary in a decision, you know what I mean? Does that really warrant a title shot when you look at the grand scheme of things? The rankings, like Sean Brady. Look what Sean Brady's been doing, man. Sean Brady, he literally just beat Leon Edwards, right? Just beat Leon Edwards. Former champion, and he submitted him. He didn't Bilal him where he was just holding him down and then, little pot shots here and there. Literally dominated him like start to finish and then finished him. Like made Leon Edwards look like he didn't know what he was doing. Then fought Gilbert Burns and then Gastelum. And that's the thing. Burns and Gastelum, are they great for your resume at this point? Not particularly. However, it's just that activity, that willingness. And that's the thing too. Everyone's shitting on Ian Gary. It's like, "Oh, well, I don't like Ian Gary." Fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like Ian Gary as a fighter. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's not like an Ilya Taporia where he's going to go in there and knock out everybody. I like his style. I think he brings a lot to the table. I think he's a good heel. But like, people are bitching about, "Oh yeah, I don't like Ian Gary." At least he has the mentality of wanting to step in there. Where you got all these guys who are like, "Nah, I'm just going to chill out and wait another year. Nah, I'll wait. It's so frustrating to me because we want to see these guys. And that's the thing. Shavkat, he could be totally different from this injury, right? Because, what was it? I think it's his knee or something like that. Like, a major surgery he went through. So, for him not to have any activity for a year and a half, and that's if he's getting the title shot. Now, obviously, the UFC is doing some strange things lately, so he might get the title shot doing this, but that's the thing. If I'm in the welterweight top 5, I'm like, okay, Shavkat, he probably has somewhat of a claim to the title shot. Let's get in there again and leapfrog him. You know what I'm saying? Because if all these guys are sitting around, the UFC hates that. The UFC rewards activity, and you look at the opportunities. Like, you look at Joshua Van, right? Fought 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, you want the Royval number 1 contender?" Boom, shows up. Now he's fighting for the title. You know what I'm saying? And he looked better than the guy who challenged for the belt in Kai France. So it's like, it's just really frustrating to see because not only that, Shavkat Rakhmonov, does he have a crazy personality? No. But he has this mysterious aura. He's a really good fighter. He comes to fight all the time. And it's just very frustrating because not only that, I think, I don't know if it was legit or not, but he had the custom shorts on the website and people are like, oh, it was leaked and then it was torn down. Those look amazing. And that's the thing. I wouldn't complain if Shavkat got custom shorts. A lot of people are like, oh, what has he done? Who cares? I'm pretty sure he's the only fighter from Kazakhstan in like a top 5 of a division. And I feel like that population, like, I remember Henry Cejudo was saying he went to Kazakhstan. Apparently they're like huge about MMA. So to have Shavkat come back and fight, let's say, an Usman or a Sean Brady, while the Makhachev JDM fight as is going to happen, or maybe he fights, a month or two after that, just line up your times, right? Because with this mentality of not wanting to get in there and not entertaining all these fights, like, let's be real, bro. You beat Ian Gary. Ian Gary's a great fighter, like I said, but he wasn't a former champion. He wasn't a former, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for him to have this mentality makes absolutely no sense to me. And I get the risk aversion because it's like, man, if I'm guaranteed a title shot, I don't really want to fight. But I just hate this mentality. It's a terrible look for Shavkat because we want to see him in there. We want to see if he still got it because that's the thing. As much people give Jamal Hill shit, maybe there is credit to the Achilles tear, right? And obviously it's different injuries or whatever, but still, like, a lot of these fighters who have these major surgeries do not look the same coming back. So it's just to let us know where he's at and whether he still deserves a title shot. And yeah, it's just, like I said, if I had my way here, and that's the thing, in the UFC, you can be out for a whole, year and then some, and then you're still ranked in the top 5. Like, look at Usman. He didn't fight for 2 years, and he was still in the top 5. So it's completely ridiculous, these rankings. But yeah, if you look at the rankings here, so Shavkat's at number 3, Bilal's at number 1, Sean Brady's number 2, Leon's number 4. That's the thing. I don't think they're going to give Shavkat Leon because I'm pretty sure they're going to want to give Leon to Michael Morales. But that's a story for another day. So yeah, if Ian Gary, and that's the thing, Ian Gary has been calling out Belal, and then Belal responded back. So I feel like that's a good fight to do. Like, you could definitely do Ian Gary versus Belal, and then you can do Shavkat versus an Usman or a Sean Brady and figure it out. Because it's just having these guys sit around and waste their primes is just ridiculous to me. Because not only that, I'm not a pocket watcher by any means, but wouldn't Shavkat want to make a little bit more money before he gets the belt? You know what I mean? Get some more recognition and just, I don't know. It's just, long story short, I hate the inactivity. I hate this mentality, this entitlement. It's ridiculous and it needs to stop, and the UFC needs to stop rewarding this shit. Especially, you even go back farther, like Colby Covington, right? Literally hasn't won a fight in 4 years, and then just granted title shot. And that's the thing. I get he's the big, he was the money fight because, he was so polarizing and people wanted to see him lose. However, Shavkat, you beat Stephen Thompson, who was, prehistoric, and then you beat Ian Gary in a decision. I think he needs to do a little bit more. That's the thing. For example, if Kamaru Usman was still the champion and he went through the division and there's no one left, obviously yes. But Jack Del Maddalena, he's a new champion. He's a lot. And that's the thing. Jack Del Maddalena, he was calling out Shavkat. He does want that fight. So it's we have a really good champion in Jack, but I just would like to see him earn it a bit more. That's all, Because I'm not saying that Jack Della Maddalena or Makhachev versus Shavkat will be bad fights. They'll be amazing fights. It's just we can't reward this mentality. We can't reward inactivity. And like I said with the whole Jack situation, if Shavkat comes in really inactive, coming off an injury, he might look bad. You know what I mean? And it'll compromise his shot or his chance to win. Because if he's on the ball, fighting, he fought, 4 months ago and then he's right into a title fight, he'll be primed, prepped, and ready to go. But with this, I don't know what to say. Because, yeah, Shavkat is elite, but is he still? We don't know. So, yeah, I really hope it's Shavkat gets a fight in there soon. Like I said, ideally, Sean Brady, Usman, or even Belal. You know what I mean? He can even do that Belal fight because I think John Anik was saying that a while ago. I made a video about it, but you never know. Anyways, moving on. Another news. Good news. Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates will take place on UFC 319 on August 16th, per whoever that is. And that's the thing. I'm pretty sure I've seen Carlos Prates post about it. And obviously this isn't from the UFC directly, so it's not 100% official, but, you know, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's acting like it is. So I'll just assume it is. And a lot of people are saying, they're mixed because it's like, oh, well, why don't we do Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales? It's like, slow the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, that fight, don't get me wrong, amazing fight. However, let's let the UFC cook a bit. Let's get them both raise up their star powers and have that fight, whether in the top 5 or maybe one's champion and then they fight, right? Because as of right now, Carlos Prates needs to rebound. And like I always say, whatever a UFC fighter loses that the UFC is like high on, it really goes to show where they value them depending on the ranking of the opponent they get. So for example, let's say Carlos Prates was fighting, you know, Michael Venom Page, who's at 15, or a nightmare matchup outside of the rankings. They'd be like, okay, we're kind of done with Carlos Prates. So for the fact that Carlos Prates, you know, he did well in round 5 against Ian Gary, but, you know, over the first 4 rounds, you know, it was pretty one-sided. Not like a vicious beatdown or anything, but Ian Gary was doing well. So the fact that Carlos Prates still gets a ranking or a contender that's ahead of him just goes to show the UFC still believes in him. And I was saying, I do too. I really like Carlos Prates. I love his fighting style. I love his personality. It's really unique. Obviously, you know, everyone would love for him to cut out the darts and the smoking, but, you know, it is what it is. Like, obviously, I'm pretty sure once he starts getting back up to the top 5, I'm sure he'll have some lifestyle changes, but it is what it is. And yeah, people are saying, Geoff Neal, it's a decent matchup. But people are saying, oh, we would like to see Carlos Prates fight a bit like higher up in the rankings, like a Colby Covington. And I'd love that fight too. I think Carlos Prates would knock Colby Covington's block off in rounds 1 to 2. Obviously, Colby Covington's a good wrestler, and Ian Gary was being able to take down Carlos, but Colby Covington's a shell of himself. And I feel like Carlos Prates would get a lot more credit for beating Colby Covington in the eyes of the casuals than they would a Geoff Neal. Obviously, the hardcores know Geoff Neal's a much harder fight than Colby Covington, but that's the thing, it's a riskier fight too, because Geoff Neal actually has power. Colby Covington couldn't knock out a fetus. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get why the UFC is doing this, and not only that, it's a pure striking fight, so that Carlos Prates doesn't really have to worry about the takedown, so he can really show off his skill set and go for a TKO, because that's the thing, Shavkat knocked him out as well, so... Or no, sorry, he choked out Geoff Neal. But still, Geoff Neal comes to fight. He's a dog. He's a warrior. So, yeah, that'll be a really good fight. Looking forward to seeing what Carlos Prates has in the future. And like I said, people are like, oh, well, what about Michael Morales? I think they're going to do Michael Morales versus Leon Edwards. Because Leon Edwards, I feel like he'd be an idiot to accept a grappling fight. And Michael Morales, obviously he is well-rounded, but he's primarily a striker. So I feel like they're going to go for that so that Michael Morales can get in the top 5. And they'll just make whatever name off of Leon or hype from Leon Edwards and give it to Michael Morales. So yeah, like I said, Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales will be an amazing fight. Just let's do that in the future, you know? But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.